Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Malcolm Mooney, who was the original lead singer for the group Can, the Krautrock group, as the genre is so often called. So, Malcolm Mooney was born in 1944 in the United States, but he moved to Germany, at a relatively young age and started Can with his bandmates in the late 1960s. So obviously, he was, as I said, the pioneering member of the band Can. In fact, he is credited with coming up with the band's name, which is sort of an unusual name and also an unusual claim to fame. It's part of music history. They are quite an influential band, even though, as I sort of say on this show quite a lot, they're a little bit underrated. In fact, the krautrock genre overall seems to be ever so slightly, overlooked, I guess you might say. It's sort of become a cliche of my little show here for me to say that, oh, this band is overlooked or that movie is underappreciated or something like that. It's kind of a cliche, but I think in some ways it's true. I mean, it's a relative thing when you can say something is not really as popular or well known as something else. It's all relative, but it seems like not a lot of people really talk about Can, even though they are influential. It's just one of those things. So initially, Can had little success and were often ignored by record labels and the music press, with critical perceptions that they were not commercial enough, though they were innovative enough to build a following. And that's really one of the key things about music, even today. Like if you're actually an innovative force and you're putting your stuff out there, some people might find your stuff, and all you need is a few key breaks and maybe you'll make it. It's just one of those things. Although it does help to live in an area where there is a music scene and all that kind of stuff. Like if you're in the middle of nowhere, like in a cultural dead zone, it's unfortunate but also true that you're going to have a reduced chance of success. But certainly few out there would accuse Can of selling out too much by compromising their sound over the years, because very few bands, including even other so-called krautrock bands, really sound all that much like Can does. There's just something unique about them, and it's really hard to pin down exactly what they sound like. And if you listen to their earlier stuff and compare it to their later stuff, it's not even like you could say their sound was constantly evolving or something, even though it was. You can't really say that in a conventional way because they just do things differently. It's really hard to pinpoint exactly, like, oh, this was this stage in their career or this was that stage. They just do their own thing basically. That's why it's really hard to talk about how they sound or where certain ideas might have come from, because they're really very experimental sounding, yet they also do have some pop sensibilities, I guess you might say. And they really had a lot of groundbreaking sounds. If you listen to their stuff from the late 60s and 70s, you'll be like, "Holy crap, this actually came out then?" Like a lot of it sounds really modern and in the good way, not like not like modern in any sort of terrible way, I suppose I should emphasize that. Mooney left the band Can pretty early, and he has since found critical acclaim. He, along with the other Can vocalist, Damo Suzuki, are most certainly considered among the most original singers in rock. You know, Suzuki has this sort of improvised feel to most of what he says, even if he's not necessarily always improvising. It always sounds pretty freewheeling, and I guess that's kind of the feel that the band can really conveys is sort of like a free flowing thing. It is evolving, yet it doesn't have that feel of like they're consciously doing it. I guess you might say that's what the band conveys most successfully. Like you don't have to map everything out perfectly in advance. It's something that it can just creatively flow, I guess. Now, I don't know to what extent they actually sit down and work things out or whatever. I'm sure maybe they did that at some points in their career, just to work out some basic logistics of their sound or something. But really, it sounds quite, open. The members of Can each played a unique and influential role in the development of musical experimentation, in their entire span of their career. I would assume they might have even had some influence on electronic music, even perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing that out there. It's it just seems like they influenced a lot of people. Like I think John Lydon, also known as Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols, cited them as an influence and all that kind of stuff. And you know, just very innovative. And they had a lot of experimental elements. They showed that you could be a rock band, yet have different aspects to their sound too. Mooney's compositions marked a significant impact in the development of Can's music. You know, they're known for incorporating elements of heavy psychedelic, heavy psychedelia, jazz, and world music. And as a visual artist, Mooney has also had success. In 2022, which was just last year, he had an exhibition in New York titled Works 1970 to 1986. So he's still really active in the arts. I'm not really sure to what extent, he's engaged in music these days, but you can at least say he had and still has some creative outlets going on. That's pretty cool. So really, that's all I've had to say about this band for now, or specifically Malcolm Mooney. And I'm sure I will look at Can again at some point in the future. I was kind of free flowing with this episode in a way, even though I wrote some notes. So if you find that I said something really stupid or something here, if you have a correction for me to look at, or if you just want to add some details to Can, like how they developed or how they influenced you and your life, and what you think their role is within the history of music, I guess you can go ahead and let me know if you want to track me down on social media or whatever. And well, that's really all I have to say about them. And you have yourself a holly jolly Christmas.